Wow, it's taken me 1 year to make this video. Whew. You are a procrastinator. Welcome back, everyone. Today's video I am excited to do. I am a little bit nervous to do this video though. My anxiety is a little bit high right now, but last year, I saw Lauren Mae Beauty post a video talking about beauty habits that she changed like for the better. And I thought it was a really great video. And at the time I was kind of in the process of making quite a few changes for myself, lifestyle changes, health changes, beauty changes. You were with me last year. I was definitely going through a lot. I had been diagnosed with adrenal PCOS. I was sick all of the time. I was struggling with eating. My dog was also diagnosed with cancer and she ended up passing away in October. My apartment was broken into. I moved. I had so much going on last year. It was one of the most traumatic years of my life, but it was also a year where I made a lot of changes, and a lot of changes that I think are for the better. And so when I saw Lauren put out this video, it really inspired me and I wanted to make my own video on it. And for some reason I never did. I made my list. I knew what I wanted to talk about. I kept putting it on my content calendar, like this is the day you're gonna film it. And then I never did. And I think I have just some anxiety to talk about it because some things are definitely more personal, whether it comes to talking about like finances, whether it comes to talking about uncertainty in career. And sometimes when you post a little bit more vulnerable things on the internet, you're never really sure what the feedback is going to be. And I think for me, a reason why I didn't post this video last year was because I knew my mental health could not take it. There's definitely been times in my over 10 years of sharing my life online, there's been times where I just can't post as many personal things because I'm just not in the right place mentally. And especially last year with everything that I just named off, I just couldn't really like handle it at that time. So because I wasn't really sure how this video would like be received, I know everyone loves Lauren. Like I know her video had so many positive comments and so many people that could really relate to a lot of what she was saying. But sometimes, you know, you just get a little bit nervous to share things. So this video is going to be, you know, a little bit more personal and, you know, talking about changing my habits and how a lot of these habits are focused on beauty related. I know a lot of us come to this channel because we enjoy beauty. I know I've been able to make a whole community because we are beauty lovers and that sort of thing. And it's actually one of the things that I'm going to touch on is my love of beauty and why it went away, when it went away, did it go away, and all of those things. And it's definitely a video that I am going to be very curious to get your comments on, of if you've made any changes like this, any lifestyle changes, if you've ever gone through anything that's made you want to make some significant changes in your life. I'm definitely gonna be very curious to know. So that is what we're gonna be talking about today, a little bit of a longer intro, but it's a little bit different of a video. I did finish filming a Get Ready With Me, so I will link that. It should already be up. So I will link the Get Ready With Me if you wanna see that, as well as all of the products that I'm wearing are always in my description box and the YouTube shopping button if there's ever anything that you are interested in. I do have 8 habits here that I changed. And to me, of course, one of the biggest ones is always going to be finances. And when I was thinking about putting together this video, and I have a whole thing of notes here, one thing that I wrote down, and I kept looking back at it, and I was like, wow, that's really something. But I wrote down that nothing feels better than financial stability. And to me, that's just a phrase that I kept coming back to, and I kept coming back to. Nothing feels better than financial stability. I am someone who has been, I think, quite transparent over the years about my finances. I have made videos talking about my biggest financial mistakes and how I was able to get out of them. I've talked about videos of when I was married, my ex-husband lost his job. It was a very scary time for us. And I was very candid about that online. I've talked about putting myself into debt, starting a YouTube channel and starting a beauty channel and buying so many products and buying even things like equipment when I couldn't afford them, because I wanted so badly to make this a career. So I have been pretty open about financial ups and downs. I've also talked a lot about my divorce and how I wasn't able to leave my marriage for so long because I couldn't financially support myself, and why this career was so important to me, and being able to financially support myself was so important to me because it allowed me to be able to leave a relationship that I needed to leave years prior to it. And I was finally able to financially support myself to do that. So when I wrote down nothing feels better than financial stability, no eyeshadow palette will ever feel better than me being able to pay my bills on time. No pair of shoes will ever feel better than me being able to go to the grocery store and buy whatever it is that I want that day. There are so many things that I value in life, and financial stability is definitely one of them. I am someone who has come out of extreme credit card debt. And when I say credit card debt, I don't mean $100. I don't mean $1,000. I don't mean $20,000. I don't mean $40,000 in debt. I'm talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. And I've had to get myself out of that. And it's a place that I never want to go to again. I never want to have to rely on credit cards to be able to pay my bills or to be able to pay my groceries. I have been in some very scary financial situations throughout the years, and I just never want to be in that place again. So for me, I was able to make some habit changes when it came to finances. One of the biggest ones was tracking. I have made videos before talking about habit tracking and how important I think it is, because I don't think that you can really make any changes in your life unless you know what it is you're trying to change. For me, when I started to put it on paper, when I started to put it in black and white, when I started to put it in spreadsheets, how much money I was bringing in every single month versus how much I was putting out every single month, when I was really going through a hard time financially, to see those numbers and to see how different they were was very, very startling. I don't want to have this whole video be about money, but honestly, I couldn't. Again, I've made whole money videos in the past, but to me, having a good relationship with money was really a huge change for me. Tracking all of my finances, this is something that I do every single week. I document everything. Whatever it is I bought, it doesn't even matter if I bought something for $1, I put this in my tracker. Every single thing that I bring in money-wise, even if I get, a very small check from someone, it doesn't matter. Every single thing I track. I look every single quarter how much money I have in checking, in savings, in high yield savings, in stocks, and I compare that to what do I have out there in any loans, car loans, student loans, credit card debt, anything like that. And I always want to make sure that this number is higher than my debt number, right? So that's something that it takes me a lot of time. It's something that I feel like I could pay someone to do for me, but it's something that's very important for me to see those numbers and for me to see that in black and white. So that is a habit change that I have made, where every single week I make it a priority to put this on my to-do list and to go through my finances. I never have any questions. I'm never surprised when I see a charge on my account, because this is something that I do an audit on for myself every single week. I'll be honest when I say I'm not a big making budget type of girl. Sometimes for me, it doesn't work out, and everyone's going to be different when it comes to habits and when it comes to finances and anything along those lines. I know some people who can make budgets so easily, and they have like the cute like budget trackers and all of the things. That for me just doesn't necessarily work out for me. For me, tracking is where it's at for me, and that is so helpful to me. And then also, one thing for me was really changing my relationship with money, and this was something that was really difficult for me to do. I grew up struggling. I was a teenager struggling. I was in college struggling. I was a young adult struggling. I've struggled with money my entire life. And I think for me, that has made me have a really poor relationship with money, because it makes me think, this is why I'm hungry. This is why I don't have appropriate clothes to wear. This is why I can't afford rent. This is why, when a lot of times when I would think of money, I would think of it in such a negative manner. And it took me a long time to understand that mindset is so important around money. And I remember years ago when I was talking about this, someone said, well, it's easy for you to change your mindset about money when you start making more money. But that is not what came for me first. I had to change my mindset with money and also my habits around money. And then I started not only making more money, but saving more money and also making my money work for me. I started to understand what a high yield savings account was. I understood what a Roth IRA was. I started to make those types of changes. So not only could I save more money and then also earn compound interest, which is always great over time, but then I started to get more confident with money. And then I felt like that was when I started to actually make more money in this career. It was a very long battle for me. And one thing that I love to do is read. I'm a huge reader, and reading for me is really important. And one thing that I have fallen off of, but I am determined to get back on, is reading nonfiction books for myself. So I'm also a book blogger. It's how I started my career in social media back in 2009. I still have my book blog, chicklitplus.com. I post book reviews all the time, post book reviews on Amazon as well. I do have a second YouTube channel, and I'm thinking about doing some more book reviews over there because I love talking about books. But because I'm so busy keeping up with my book schedule for the book blog, I very rarely read books for myself. And right before my dog's cancer diagnosis, it was like several months before then, I was really trying to make some lifestyle changes, some health changes, because I was struggling with my PCOS diagnosis. I was struggling with weight gain, bloating, fatigue, brain fog, not being able to eat, gaining weight. And so I was really trying to focus on this night routine. And a part of my night routine was reading a few chapters of a nonfiction book. And I felt like I read some really interesting books, especially about like the female body, periods, that sort of thing, because that's what I was really interested in at the time, diet, lifestyle. But one thing for me that I have always found really important, and something that has always changed something for me, is when I read financial books. So I actually just purchased a new book last night. I bought it off of Amazon, so it should be coming to me soon. I can put the cover in here. But this is from an author that I found on TikTok. I was actually talking about this in my Get Ready With Me, and I mentioned the book, and I was just talking about careers in social media and how they can really change people's lives. You know, this woman got on TikTok and now she's a best-selling author. One of the reasons I bought her books is because I found her on TikTok, and I trust her, and I trust her advice and her financial advice. But I bought this book, and I'm really excited to get back into my habit of reading nonfiction, reading something for me every single night. And for me, when I read books on finances, especially from other women, I feel like I always learn something, or something jumps out at me, or I think I need to look at this more. It's how I learned about a high yield savings account. It's how I learned about a Roth IRA. It's how I learned about how to invest in stocks. Everything that I have learned finance-wise, I have learned myself through these resources that I've been able to find. Sometimes it's through free YouTube videos and TikTok videos. Sometimes it's through buying a $15 book online and learning that way. I have learned so much more as an adult by making those changes myself and seeking out that information than I ever did in school, where they teach you the literal bare minimum and how to write a check. Okay, maybe I just aged myself there. And this was something that I had to teach for myself. I had to change my habits. I had to change my, and this is gonna, you know, fall into the other habits as well. I had to change things about what I was consuming, how much I was consuming. There was a lot that went into it that also played into my finances, but some of the biggest things for me was tracking all of my finances and taking the time to learn my own information and kind of having like continuing education with myself. Things are changing all the time. I feel like I'm always learning something new. Something about stocks is always popping up. Something is always changing, and it's really important to keep up with it. But I'm really excited. I will definitely be reviewing the book that I am going to be reading. I'm just really hoping that I'll take some really good tidbits away from that book and just continue to keep, you know, refreshing my mindset around money, keep having as good of a relationship as I can with money. Also trying not to let things like online comments affect me as much as I used to let them. I know for me, when I first got on YouTube, I was just always talking about drugstore makeup. I would go and buy like a $3 lipstick and I would talk about it. And I started to see comments of like, why do you always talk about the same things? You never talk about the new makeup releases. And I'm not blaming anybody else, because it was my reaction to those comments that I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not keeping up with people. And that's when I started buying so much makeup for my channel, because I didn't want to see those negative comments, and I wanted to be good enough. And that's what really put me into debt in the first place. And it's so interesting over the last couple of years where I've talked about having more minimalist collection, not keeping as much, decluttering more, and that sort of thing. I still get comments. I got a comment the other day when I did my TSA like Sephora haul, like what would happen if I lost all my makeup while I was traveling, and here's like my dream Sephora haul. And someone said, of course you're not doing a real haul, you never buy makeup anymore, girl, bye. Like, just, it was literally like a paragraph. I screenshotted it and sent it to my friends, and just for them to understand like sometimes what plays into my mind. And one thing that I just so badly want to share is that I just don't think you should ever criticize someone for their financial decisions, whether it's buying something, whether it's not buying something, whether it's going somewhere, whether it's not going somewhere, because you never know what you know, possibly is actually happening behind the scenes. I'm older now. When I started my channel, I was in my young 20s, and I definitely let things get to me more, but there's definitely times over the years, especially when it comes to my mental health, that comments can affect me more than others. And I won't lie, I saw that comment and I was like, oh my gosh, I should do a Sephora haul. Like, that's, you know, my first thought is like, I want to make people happy, and I want people to like my channel. I want people to like my videos. Like, obviously there's nothing wrong with saying that. But I go back to, nothing feels better than financial stability. Nothing feels better than financial security. An eyeshadow palette is not going to do that for me. A Sephora haul is not going to do that for me. And that's just something that I have to remember, and I have to keep on my goals, the habits that I know have made better changes in my life. So, finances. I know that was a long one, but like, to me, that's obviously the most important one. This one though, I think is so important too. I wanted to mention this at number 2, and I talked about this, but is watching what I consume. Again, I've made videos about this before, especially on my second channel. It is so important. If you pay attention to what you consume throughout the day, I'm talking the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the videos that you watch, the people that you hang around with, the conversations you have with those around you, that plays so much into your daily life. And again, one of the ways that I was able to realize this was through tracking. Big fan of tracking, big fan of notebook. I have a million notebooks here. If you're ever looking for a cute notebook, I sell these on my website, by Samantha March, and I'm my #1 customer when it comes to these notebooks. It just has like some like makeup on the front, and then it's just a blank notebook. Tracking to me is so important, and there are times when I feel like I need to track something, whether it's food or fitness or beauty or finance, anything like that. I will take a notebook and I will label it like, this is what I'm going to be tracking, and then I will literally write everything down, because that way you can see it. Again, I don't think that you can change your habits until you actually know what your habits are. And sure, you might think, I have my one-on-ones with people who are looking to make changes, looking to make healthier habits. One of the first things I'm always saying is track your habits, because when I ask you, what are your habits? And you're like, oh, I wake up and then, you know, I work out and sometimes I eat lunch at this time. Like, sure, you can think about all of the the pinpoints that you do throughout your day. But if you actually take a week, take 3 days and write everything down. Write out what time you do things, write out how much you eat, write down what time you work out, how long you work out for, who you're talking to, what those conversations are like, how long did you spend watching YouTube that day, what are the videos that you consumed that day. That's when you can actually see what your real habits are, and not just the ones that stick out in your mind. And that's, to me, what could make a huge difference. There was a point in time where I realized how much beauty videos I was watching. And I know that's kind of interesting, because I am still a beauty content creator, and I have heard other creators talk about this as well, of there's kind of like a strange like fine line between some of the videos that are going out now around like consumption and cutting back on beauty, yet at the same time still making beauty videos. Like, I'm talking about the Sigma Skin Tint all week. I love this thing. Like, I want everyone to buy this product because I think that it's great. So I am cognizant of the fact that I'm kind of like straddling this line between the two, but I feel like there's definitely been a shift over the last few years, and more people are talking about overconsumption, underconsumption, 2016 beauty YouTube days, having these huge collections, and how some people are a little bit fatigued. And it doesn't mean that you can't love beauty or still enjoy it or enjoy what you have, but it does seem that maybe there was a shift. For me, did it start during COVID? Possibly. A lot of things in my life changed during that time. A lot of things got put in perspective to me during that time. And then subsequently, the years afterwards had a lot of big changes for me: a divorce, a move, death. And I think a lot of people went through, you know, some similar things around the time as well. But I was finding myself watching beauty videos all day long. And what was that doing? It was making me want to buy all of these new products. And then I would listen to podcasts about beauty products and favorite beauty products, and then I would want to buy those beauty products. And that's what I found myself consuming most of the time. There was also a time where I was really invested in like drama videos and almost just more negative videos, and I found myself having a more negative mindset throughout the day. So when I changed my habits to what I was listening to and what I was watching, I feel like that's what made a really big difference to me. So I don't watch as many beauty YouTube videos these days. I still watch them if there's products that I'm interested in or people that I'm interested in watching. I have a lot of friends in this space. I like to see what they're saying. I like to see what they're loving, but nowhere near. I used to just pull up my watch later list and just run through the videos all day long, no matter what I was doing. If I was cooking, if I was cleaning, if I was working, I always had those videos playing, and I would just be sitting there on Sephora, on Ulta, putting things in my cart, adding things to my cart that I wanted. Over the last couple of years, when I started getting more into healthier habits, I started watching those types of videos. I started watching videos on the best ways to like clean and organize your apartment, the best ways to create a night routine, the best, you know, 6 healthy meals that you can make at home. And consuming that type of material is what really helped me make those changes in my life as well, because suddenly I wasn't feeling so much FOMO when it came to beauty products, but I was inspired in ways to be able to clean, to be able to track my finances, to be able to make healthier options for me at home. What you consume is so important, and I highly, highly recommend that you look at what you consume on a daily basis and see how maybe that is affecting you. This next one, Lauren talked about it as well, and I know she had mentioned like feeling a bit vulnerable about this one because but when she said it, I was like, I totally understand this. And that was a habit that I changed, was my shower routine. I used to be someone who loved showering. I'd always talk about it, I'd make jokes about it. But at the end of the day, when I would really struggle with my mental health, those would be the times where I really had a hard time showering. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's that way, but I hear people who struggle with mental health say the same things. And there's a time, and I've referenced it many times, but there's a time I'll never forget during 2020 when just a lot of things were happening. I was in IVF. I felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career my entire life. I didn't know about what my marriage was doing. COVID was happening. I had a death in my family multiple times over, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't shower for 9 days. And at one point, my husband at the time literally picked me up and put me in the shower. And I just remember like the water hitting me and being like, you are unwell. Like you're unwell and you need to make some changes. And I will say, one thing that I'm really proud of is, you know, trying to get better into this shower routine and having a different mindset when I look at it. And when my apartment was broken into and me and my dog went and we lived with some of my friends for a little bit because I was scared to be alone and I didn't want to be in that particular apartment. One thing that I was really proud of was still every morning I got up and showered. And it might sound crazy to some people, but if you struggle with mental health, maybe you get it. But that to me was such a big deal. I'm going through so much. I know I'm really struggling right now, but at least the one thing I can do every day is I get up and I go for a walk and then I shower. And to me, it just felt like such a breakthrough, but I've really changed the way that I look at my shower routine as part of my actual self-care. It's not something that is annoying. I still don't love to like wash my hair, don't get me wrong, but I'm not trying to take an everything shower every single day, right? I don't wash my hair every single day, but every single day, my morning routine is I wake up and I go outside for a walk, and I walk usually about 4 miles every single morning. And sometimes I stop and get a drink. Sometimes I'm like video chatting my friends. Sometimes I'm working and I'm catching up on comments, or I'm editing videos on my phone. Sometimes I'm just listening to a podcast and enjoying nature. But then I get home and the next thing that I do is I shower, and I have this whole routine. I dry brush my whole body before I shower. I feel like my skin has never been softer and smoother since I started dry brushing, which is also great for lymphatic drainage, which is something that I struggle with. I also like to have a cold shower at the end. I've gotten really into like hot cold therapy. I love cold plunges. So at the end of my shower, I turn it on really cold and I stand there for 2 minutes, but also again, helps with lymphatic, with inflammation, things that I've really struggled with. And then I have all of these lotions that I like to use. I like to use the You Like. It is a handheld hair removal device, and I do my underarms, I do my bikini line. Sometimes I have more time, I do my legs. But I really look at my shower routine as my self-care routine now. And that is something that I didn't always do before. And then there's all these ways that I'm doing beauty in it. Sometimes I do a mask before I shower and I take the mask off. Sometimes I do a mask after I shower, like if I've done like a hot shower and I feel like my pores are really open, then I do a mask and then I sit in the mask for a while. I do like my hair care routine and have the different sprays that I put in my hair and serums. And I've really looked at a shower as part of like my beauty routine now, and in a positive way. So I know that one might be like so random, but I felt really inspired, and I felt like Lauren was really brave to talk about it in her video, so I wanted to be brave like Lauren. Another thing that definitely a habit that I changed was not making as many beauty videos, and especially videos around new makeup. So I started the Will I Buy It series back in probably like 2016 or 2017, and it's become a pretty popular series on YouTube. A lot of creators do it where they talk about new makeup releases, their thoughts on them, if they're going to buy them or not. And this was kind of my response to having those comments of like, you never talk about new makeup, realizing I was putting myself into debt and understanding like I can't just keep buying the new makeup, but maybe I can do this video and we can talk about new makeup releases. And I did that video every single Wednesday for years. And it was, what, in 2022 maybe, that I stopped doing it on a weekly basis, and I would do it monthly, and then I did it just kind of whenever inspiration struck, and then now I can't remember the last time I did it. And to me, that was a really hard decision to make because I feel like my channel is kind of well known for that. That was always one of my top viewed videos. Even now, if I were to post a Will I Buy It video, I know that that would do better view-wise than any other video. This to me was basically choosing mental health over money. This was choosing mental health over views. This was choosing mental health. And also finances, and going back to nothing's better than financial stability. Which is, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky because YouTube is my job. I do get paid off AdSense. I do get paid off affiliate links. So sometimes my financial stability in part does come from YouTube. I have multiple other streams of income, which I do think is really important, but YouTube is definitely one of them. So I take away a video that always does well for me view-wise, that does well for me affiliate link-wise. Am I hurting myself? But at the end of the day, I had to make that decision for myself to stop making those videos because all it was doing was giving me so much FOMO. It was making me want to buy the new makeup releases. I know now, even when I do like the one-off new makeup releases here and there, that's typically then when you see me buy new makeup afterwards, because I sit here and I talk about it and I like talk myself into it and I get excited about it because I'm still a lover of beauty. I still enjoy shopping. I still enjoy buying and trying new products, and it's fun for me. But one thing that I have done in place of those is doing the PR hauls now. And the PR hauls, I mean, that really, to me, it kind of takes me back to when I started on YouTube and I would get these PR packages and I was like, yes, now I can make content around these. I think the same way because I don't want to keep putting myself into debt over makeup products, but I've worked really hard at this career. I've made a lot of connections in this career. And if I do, you know, I'm still on some PR lists where I get these products, then I can make these videos, and it just kind of helps me balance between having the FOMO and having the, I'm actually putting my credit card down for all of these products, but still being able to come out with fresh new content, still being able to talk about the new makeup releases, but kind of lessen that strain on myself. And it's something that I've heard other beauty creators talk about. It's things that I've talked, you know, kind of behind the scenes about with some other people as well, and some of the changes that they've had to make in their content too, because we just can't keep up. Like, it's so hard because I don't expect consumers watching to be able to keep up with all of the makeup releases and the trends and everything that's always coming out. And I also don't think content creators can keep up with it. And I think there's been a definite sense of burnout, especially amongst a lot of us that have been here for a really long time, especially amongst the ones of us that really care about our reviews and care about our audience and put that first before virality and views, because we want to be doing the best that we can for the people who trust us and who watch us and who come back for us. And to me, it was really hard because I felt like I was disappointing people when I started to take a different direction. And of course, I saw the comments and even got like the emails of people saying how disappointed they were at me. But at the end of the day, it has to come back to myself, my habits, and the life that I am trying to have, the financial security that I'm trying to have, and the strong mental health that I'm trying to have. Another thing that I changed was not going into stores as much. And I think especially when I moved to Las Vegas, I was so excited because I came from small town Iowa where we didn't have anything. We didn't have a Sephora, Ulta, a mall. You know, we had like a CVS or like a Walgreens and a Walmart, and those were the places where I would like buy my makeup, but I would have to drive 2 hours if I wanted to go to any stores. So when I moved to Vegas in 2021, I was like, oh my gosh, there's all these stores here. And I would find myself every single week going to Sephora. Like, it became part of my routine where I would go to like the Green Valley area, Town Square, sometimes even the Strip, and I would go out for lunch by myself. I would take myself out to lunch. I would read. I would have a little self-care date. It would be like the day that my dog was at daycare. It would be like my day. And I would go and have lunch by myself, and I would read a book, and then I would go shopping at Sephora. And even if I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go see what's going on, or I'm just gonna go film some videos, that's what I would tell myself at first. Like, I'm gonna film some short form videos, you know, some TikToks of like top new makeup products at Sephora right now. But then guess what I would do? I would buy them. And then I started filming like shop with me videos at Sephora, and those videos were doing well. So I was like, I should keep doing it. And there was times where I didn't even want to go shopping. I was like burned out on it. There wasn't anything I needed, but I was like, oh my gosh, I need to keep up. So I would take my camera and I'd go out, shop with me at Ulta, shop with me at Sephora, shop with me in Town Center, shop with me on the Strip. And I was like, this is getting to be a lot. So I really had to cut that down, and I really had to look and say, okay, this is not good. Because not only are you going out to lunch and you're spending money on food when you could be making food at home, and then you're not making as good of decisions when it comes to lifestyle and to diet when you go out to lunch like this every single week. But then on top of that, then you're just having a shopping spree every week, and you're just like, well, I can write it off. What is it, the Schitt's Creek, that it's like, well, that's not exactly what that means. That don't make it free. You know what I'm saying? But that was definitely a habit that I changed. And again, kind of going back to the PR hauls and just trying to do different content. Again, I started a second channel, kind of focused more on healthy habits. I want to resurrect that channel and be able to talk about it more, and that sort of thing. But definitely was that was an interesting one that I had to change on that. And then also embracing my more minimalistic style, not only when it just comes to doing my makeup and just not wearing as much in general, but not wanting to keep as much, doing declutters more. I've started doing collection or rejection videos where after I've tried new makeup for a certain amount of time, I decide what am I actually gonna put into my collection and what am I going to give away? Instead of just keeping everything and then doing these giant declutters at the end of the year, which again, great view-wise, but I have to keep coming back to that's not really what matters and what's important to me at the end of the day. And I have been so much happier since I started making those changes and just not keeping as much for myself. It's really made a big difference. And then I think at the same time too, and I think it's helped me to hear other creators talk about it. So maybe if you're a creator and you're listening to this, hopefully this helps you too. But it's been almost, I felt like for a minute there, like I was like alone. Like I was like the only one that like wasn't wearing as much makeup, wasn't buying as much makeup, wasn't keeping as much makeup. There's actually a lot of other creators out there that are doing the same thing and saying the same thing. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that we don't love beauty. It doesn't mean that we don't love to talk about makeup. It doesn't mean that I don't love the community that I've built because we have this underlying passion together, which is beauty and makeup. But it also doesn't mean that it's my entire life and it's my only passion in life. I've always said I'm very multi-passionate, I'm multi-niche. I can never just pick one thing. You know, when I came out with my brand by Samantha March, I had people saying they were surprised it's not beauty, but there's so many other things that I love and that I'm even more passionate about than beauty. I love books, I love fitness, I love a healthy lifestyle as well. I love empowering women. At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. It's why I love having a community so much. You know, as someone who didn't have a lot of that in my life growing up, like I wish I would have had some of these people online that I could have looked up to when I was younger and I was confused and I didn't know things. And that's something that I just really take very seriously with my platforms. And so at the end of the day, I have to remind myself that just because I don't wear false lashes every single day, just because I don't do full glam every single day, doesn't mean that I have to be like, I don't love makeup anymore, I don't love beauty anymore. And I can still enjoy it, but I can still enjoy it in a different way. I can enjoy what I have in my collection. I can enjoy appreciating a few new products throughout the month instead of 100 new products that I'm buying and keeping throughout the month. It's just a mindset shift that I've had to make, and it's been inspiring to see other content creators talk about it. It's been inspiring hearing some of your stories as well in the comments or in DMs, and people appreciating a different direction. There's nothing wrong with still loving makeup and buying makeup and having the big collections, but the great thing is about how saturated the beauty community is right now and just the social media influencer community in general, is there's always someone that you can find that works for you right now. Because maybe your preference right now is, you know, colorful makeup and big false lashes. You can find people out there like that making that content. Maybe in 3 months you're like, hey, I want to declutter everything. You can find someone who loves decluttering and watch those declutter videos. You're always going to change. And the good thing about social media is there's always going to be someone out there that fits that lifestyle right now. And I think the most important thing to me when I talk about that is you finding who works for you right now and not expecting a single content creator to make their life work for you. That's one thing that I just always think is really important, because, you know, sometimes I even see the comments of like, I don't like this video because I don't like drugstore makeup. That's fantastic. Then you can find another video that's not on drugstore makeup, but I can't create content that is going to work for absolutely every single person at every single stage in their life right now. One thing that I go back to is when I was in IVF, it was really hard for me to watch Desi Perkins. I loved Desi Perkins, I loved her videos, but it was really hard for me to watch her have a successful IVF process when I wasn't. So I couldn't watch her videos at the time, but I would never go to her channel to say like, I hate you and this isn't helping me and this hurts me, because it's me. I needed to change what I was consuming and watching and get through that hard time in my life. And then I could, you know, watch Desi's videos again when I was in a better place. And I've had people say to me, Samantha, I had to take a break watching your channel when your dog was going through cancer because it was too sad for me. 100%. I've had to do the same thing. You have to find at that time what is working for you, but we can't expect a single content creator to be doing everything exactly to your standards. It's impossible, because the next person's standards are different and the next person's standards are different. So when you're like, I don't like this content that they're posting, maybe someone else does and someone else finds it beneficial. And then maybe the next video I post, that will be beneficial to you. So again, just going back to like what you're consuming, but embracing my minimalistic style and not beating myself up over it so much. Going into that, we have keeping makeup, you know, so I kind of touched on that, not keeping as much, doing the collection or rejection videos so I don't have to have these giant piles of makeup. I also talked about when I did move to Vegas, I definitely downsized. I went from a 5-bedroom home to a 2-bedroom apartment. And I've also really tried to put an emphasis on having a more organized, clutter-free life. And I can't do that when I have the amount of makeup that I do now. And, you know, I'm so grateful for it. The last few years in this career have been so fun and so exciting and so amazing. But at the end of the day, I don't need to own 1,000 eyeshadow palettes to be happy. To me, having my organized apartment means so much more to me, and having almost like a clutter-free brain space has helped me out so much. So it's definitely a focus that I have really put into, and even like having like less PR, more thoughtful purchasing, those types of things. The last one that I want to touch on is just like very basic, but it really has helped me. It's cleaning like my makeup brushes instead of just buying more. I definitely got into a habit at one point of just constantly buying brushes instead of cleaning them. First of all, that's gross. Like, Samantha, that's disgusting. Clean your makeup brushes. But I've gotten into a really good brush cleaning routine now, and I think traveling has actually helped a lot. I take a select few brushes when I go on my trips. When I come back, those are what get washed. And as I'm in the process of washing them, drying them, I pick my next selection of brushes that goes in my travel makeup bag or my on-the-go makeup bag, and then I just keep rotating them. And it's really helped me out. And honestly, it's been a minute since I have bought brushes. Like, I would buy like brush sets, like I would get so excited about it. I love brushes. I did a brush declutter and I had like an absurd amount of brush. I think I decluttered like 400 brushes. So, you know, I had a lot of brushes. Getting in a better routine, again, changing my habits, getting into a better routine of keeping my brushes and my sponges clean. It's good for the skin as well. You know, I have problematic skin, so constantly using dirty brushes or something like that is so bad for you. I always point out Sigma Beauty. I love their brush shampoo. They also have the Sig Magic. I really love that. I have the Sigma Switch, which is part of my favorites bundle, and I think that's such a good product, and you can also use it to deep clean your brushes as well. But again, it's just these little and big habits that have really changed for me. There's been a lot of mindset changes and a lot of habits that I've tried to make for the better, especially when it plays into beauty. So I just thought this would be a fun video to sit down and talk about and maybe open up some new conversations with you as well. I always enjoy reading the comments. And again, I will link Lauren's video. It came out last year, but again, I watched it before I filmed this video as well, just to, you know, kind of get a refresh of everything that she said. And I just remembered again how inspired I was by it. And I really commend people who can be brave and vulnerable on the internet and talk about some of the harder things and some of the things that they've been working to make those changes on. So definitely recommend checking out that video. If you enjoyed this one though, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you next one.